the problem is you're not walking into it with your eyes wide open. You're marching into a slaughterhouse with your eyes closed. Like most guys, you march around in life, sleepwalking. You don't really know what's going on. Part of that's your fault. Part of it's, the way that the female primary social order, and family law especially, is written, because it doesn't encourage women to behave well during a divorce. In fact, it encourages them to behave quite badly, and definitely not in the best interests of the children.
Got a crazy video for you today.
She's not yours, it's just your turn. A woman should be a complement to your life, not the focus.
Do the work.
Women do not care about your struggles. They hang out at the finish line and they pick the winners. What's up, my brothers from another mother? Guys, we need to have a conversation about this trial separation lie that you guys keep falling for. If you're not new to the channel, you know who I am. I talk about this stuff, although not that often recently. But stuff around divorce, I coach a lot of guys on exiting their divorce. I don't coach guys on fixing their marriage anymore. I did a video about that. I'll put a card up on the top right. But a lot of you guys are subscribing to and being sold some narrative around the idea that a trial separation will solve all of your problems, and somehow you will leave the matrimonial home, go your separate ways, everything will be a-okay with the kiddies, and you guys will come back and live happily ever after until kingdom come. And that's simply not true. Now, here's the problem. I've always maintained that it is far best, if you're going to get divorced, that you stay in the matrimonial home until you have a global agreement signed that deals with everything from parenting schedules to holidays, who gets the kids on the birthdays, summer vacations, and all of the other stuff in between. It also deals with the sale of the assets, the division of the assets, retirement, all that kind of stuff. The reason why you stay in the matrimonial home is because you literally, as a guy, have absolutely no, and in some cases, very little bargaining power depending on where you live in the West. Some places are more hostile towards fathers, other places not so much. You're going to need to want to talk to a family lawyer to get some clarity on what the state looks like, or province, where you live, to find out what you can expect can happen to you. Before you get divorced and leave the house, guys, I'll say it again, buy an hour of a lawyer's time in your area, because you're probably going to need him later on down the road. At least you've gotten the advice so you can march into the slaughterhouse with your eyes wide open. Now, back to the whole trial separation. What that usually looks like is this. Usually the guy leaves the house and he ends up going to rent an apartment or a basement apartment, or lives at his parents' house in a basement or something like that. And he's left with the promise that they will hash out the details later. And if they want to get back together and they both agree on it, they can do that. If they don't, then they can kind of march on their separate ways. Now, the problem with that is, once you've left the matrimonial home, that's the home that you've, I'm presuming, bought together if you're married, maybe you're renting, but once you've left the matrimonial home and you've gone on your own, she's likely going to change the locks on the doors. There's going to be promises of, you can see the kids whenever you want, we'll just work it out and everything will be fine and blah, blah, blah. But what usually ends up happening, the planning behind it, so you guys understand it, the planning behind it is remove father from the home, get some time, set new precedent, which includes basically mommy having the kids most of the time. Because once you've set a precedent, once you're no longer sharing time with your kids as you were living under the same roof, under that matrimonial roof, and let's say 3 to 6 months go by, and now you're only seeing the kids, I don't know, a quarter of the time that you saw them before. Sometimes your time is limited. Sometimes it's overtly limited. Sometimes it's covertly limited. It's just like excuses are made up. Oh, I'm gone to my mom's for 10 days and I'm taking the boys with me, or I'm going to go on vacation to Hawaii for a couple weeks and the kids are coming with me, sort of thing. And then slowly but surely, a precedent begins to be set where you're slowly but surely spending less and less time with your children. By the time that happens and you go through family law, you are no longer sharing custody with the kids. You are now basically granted what's called visitation rights, which is a horrible term for a father to resign himself to, but you're essentially resigned to visitation rights, which is never, ever going to be a good thing if you want to be a part of your kid's life. Some guys don't care. I get it. Some guys just like, whatever, I just want to get out of the house and just leave, and that's fine, and she can do whatever she wants, and I'll just send her money. But the problem is, you're not walking into it with your eyes wide open. You're marching into a slaughterhouse with your eyes closed. Like most guys, you march around in life, sleepwalking. You don't really know what's going on. And part of that's your fault. Part of it's, the way that the female primary social order and family law especially is written, because it doesn't encourage women to behave well during a divorce. In fact, it encourages them to behave quite badly, and definitely not in the best interests of the children, although you're going to hear a totally different narrative or a counter narrative to what I'm talking about right now. Right now, there's some people that are fuming in the comments, this guy, he hates women. It's not true. I'm just holding up a mirror, I'm reflecting back the facts and pointing to them so you guys can understand them. So, what do you do when the conversation comes up? Let's have a trial separation and see how things go. Doesn't matter really why that conversation comes up. I've talked to guys, I've had 3 coaching calls in the last probably 2 months with guys that were sold some narrative of, let's have a trial separation. I think the last one was both of them cheated on each other with other people for different reasons. Usually when men cheat, it's because they just want sex. And when women cheat, it's because they want out at the end of the day. But they both cheated on each other. Some story came up, I just don't feel right being in the house anymore. There's too much bad juju around here. I think we should, have a trial separation and see how that works out. If you're familiar with Rollo Tomasi's work, and the Rational Male is pinned in the top comment, you guys know, if you've watched my channel for a while, that I've referenced and I build a lot of the concepts that I talk about off much of that work. But one of the iron rules of Tomasi is you never go back to an old fling. Okay, once you take the trash out to the curb and you let the guy come pick it up, the garbage man, the recycling dude, that's it. It's gone. You don't go back out there rifling through the garbage looking to rekindle something. It's been taken out. Let it go. So that's one of the big problems with it. Is you're subscribed to an old world belief system, a lie, a comforting lie that you've been told that contradicts the uncomfortable truth of, most of the time it doesn't work out. And in fact, the strategy behind getting you out of the house is really to separate you from the kids and move herself closer to the notion of primary caregiver to the children. It's quite easy for her to do that and argue that if a precedent's already been set and she's been looking after the kids for the most part to begin with. So keep your senses about you guys. Don't think for a minute just because she says something it's truthful or it's honest. Women are solipsistic, and that's not a bad thing. Women are solipsistic. They've had to be solipsistic their entire lives throughout evolution. Otherwise, they would not survive. They're simply not as strong as men are. They've got 1/3 the upper body strength that we do. They need to be solipsistic to be able to survive. And everything in family law is basically built around hypergamy, which is to serve the narrative of getting the best that she can do. And that's what family law does. It makes sure that she gets the best that she can get out of the exit through you, with control of the kids and access to resources and decision-making capability. And you give all of that up when you go on one of these trial separation, routes. So if you're going to trial separate, leave the matrimonial home only when you have a signed, shared parenting agreement that equally distributes time between the children. Because not only is it best for them to have equal access to both parents, it's also good for you because you don't lose the decision-making capability. You don't lose the ability to parent your kids and do all those things. It's incredibly important, guys. This is really, really important. So listen to this lesson, share it with somebody that needs to see it and hear this message. You probably know somebody. Maybe you're coming across it and you're not there, or maybe you're looking for answers on it. There's an entire playlist, which I'll put a card up on the top right. Go through the playlist that discusses divorce, because there's loads and loads of videos in there. If you want to book a coaching call, pinned in the top comment, I'll link it there. It's clarity.fm/Richard Cooper. I am not coaching people on fixing their broken marriages. What I'll do is I'll coach you on exiting while minimizing the fallout in the outcome. Do not do anything to exit your marriage until such time as you've spoken to me and had a conversation around the best way to plan that out, because there is some planning required. Believe it or not, women spend a hell of a lot more time planning this than what dudes do. So it's important that you at least put some thought into the idea that you're going to make a massive life decision that can change the course of your life, of your ability to parent and be a father, and also the management of your resources. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up on that note. Want to thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. And by the way, if you don't hit the notification bell, it's pretty rare that you get notified of these videos. Final last thing that I should mention, pinned in the top comment, there's some interesting information, some books that I recommend, links to my men's community, and some other tools and resources. So check that out. See you guys in the next video. Peace.